Hey y'all, I'm Hannah Barney and I'm the coordinator for student leadership.
Hi, I'm Jasmine. I'm the CRE and secondary advisor for RIC.
And I'm the primary advisor for RIC. So we are here today to talk to you about the representative position within RIC. You either have already filled out the application for Lead Hogs, become a Lead Hog and said you're interested in being rep, or maybe you're watching this video because you're just curious. Either way, we hope we can answer some questions for you and make it a little bit more clear and also exciting for you to be able to run for a rep position. So what should we talk about first?
So I guess for me, since I'm new, how about you go ahead and introduce exactly what RIC is and how that differs from Lead Hogs?
For sure, yeah, that's a good question because we a lot of times get that question a lot just because it's two organizations, but they're also sister organizations. So for RIC, it stands for Residence Interhall Congress, and it's basically the student body government for the on-campus student. So if any of you all were involved with student body government in high school, it's very similar to that, and it's for you. It's for the students who live on campus. And so what RIC does is we have an executive board of returning students who are awesome, and they can't wait to meet you. And they're here to make sure you get the best experience possible within RIC. And then we have reps who hopefully will be you. And reps represent their hall. So if you live in Pomfret and you run as a rep, you'll be a Pomfret representative. And what you would do is go to the Lead Hogs meetings and get involved with your Lead Hogs because you have to be able to talk with your Lead Hogs and get their feedback in order to represent your building. So you go to the Lead Hogs meetings and then you go to RIC meetings. You get to vote on legislation, present legislation, sponsor legislation, do all the things, which is super fun, and implement new ideas on campus, help with hall improvements. You are quite literally the voice for the students who live on this campus. So that's what RIC kind of is in comparison with Lead Hogs. It's a two-parter, so if you're a representative, you'll go to two meetings, but you can't have RIC without Lead Hogs, and you can't have Lead Hogs without RIC.
Yeah.
So I kind of talked a little bit about representatives and what they do, but will you go a little more into depth on that?
Yes. So a little bit more about what representatives do. Like Hannah said, you go to those Lead Hogs meetings. You are there to, two of your main primary actions are you sponsor legislation and you also go to the RIC meetings to vote on the behalf of your community. And so what that looks like is and the reason why it's super important is because like she said, you can't have RIC without Lead Hogs. And so you want to make sure that you help steer the focus of where the money is being spent and the initiatives that are being taken on campus. And so that's kind of a little bit more into what the representatives do. Hannah already talked a little bit about what that time commitment looks like, but just to give you some formal days and times, normally Lead Hog meetings happen in hall on Mondays from 6 to 7:15, depending on what building you live in. For me, I oversee Reed, so that can look a little bit different depending on the Lead Hog schedules. In those meetings, you present current legislation, so you also serve as a liaison of information from Lead Hogs to RIC and information from RIC to Lead Hogs. And so in those meetings, that's when you'll give that feedback to your other Lead Hogs to vote on legislation. Same day on Mondays, you will go to RIC meetings from 7:30 to 9 p.m. Those meetings can vary locations, or they're all in the same
This
location.
year will look a little different. Typically in past years we've been in the same location, but this year with COVID, as per usual, we're still kind of trying to plan and see what that'll look like. But we're planning for a virtual and an in-person option, but there will definitely be the virtual option too.
And some of those other responsibilities as far as time that is not so formal in meetings, I'm definitely going to programs that are put on by other Lead Hogs and other halls, to programs that are put on by RIC, just going, being a helping hand, supporting and attending those programs, in addition to making sure that you are not missing any meetings. There is an up to 3 absences rule to make sure that you're getting that information and that you're able to, like I said, give that information back and forth between Lead Hogs and RIC.
Yeah, and something else I don't think you mentioned was there's committees as well for RIC. So when you're on RIC, depending on your interest, whether it's budgetary stuff or maybe you're interested in ad PR stuff and you want to do some marketing for us, we have committees for all of those things. So that's another part of being a rep that you'll get to be involved with, which is super exciting. So I guess, what should I?
So, for those people who are new, who may just be getting into lead hogs, don't know much about RIC, you mentioned legislation as a primary role. Like, what is legislation?
Yeah, so legislation is basically a formal way of writing out a request for a budget through RIC. So if your lead hogs have a super exciting idea for a program or an initiative in your hall and you need money for it, that's what we're here for. We want to support that. And so as a rep, you get to vote on those pieces of legislation. Like I said earlier, you can help write them, you can help sponsor them. But basically, it's just a formal way to write down, here's our plan, here's why we're excited about it, and here's what we want to do, and here's the money that we need. So for legislation, what happens is you will submit that through a sponsor, which is a rep. So you have to find someone who is a rep to sponsor your bill in order for it to be read at an RIC meeting. It takes 2 weeks. It's read the first week, and so as a rep, you get to read it the first week in RIC, then you take it back that next week to lead hogs, talk it over with them, figure out how they want you to vote, and you come back, and the next week, that second week, is voting week. So that's when people find out whether their legislation passes or it fails. And so it can be a little intimidating to come and present to a group of 50 plus students on, here's the money we need, here's why, but it's super fun. It's a really good experience, and you get some really good experience with public speaking and just good like practice on presenting, especially for classes or whatever. It's a really good professional development piece. So yeah. So how do they become a rep?
Okay, so it's really simple, really easy, just like you did for lead hogs, simple application. So to give you some times how this is going to work, August 17th is the first in-hall, so that's when anybody who filled out a lead hog application would come or be virtual, whichever way, and then you will have that first, and all of this information will be given again.
So, this is just a quick run through. We will send all this out.
And in that meeting, you'll talk about how to campaign, sign-ups for campaigning, and just what that looks like in its totality. On August 18th, the interest form closes at 11:59 p.m. So this is your time to think about it, get these dates. Is it something that will be accessible to you? If not, we're more than glad to just have you as a lead hog.
Yes.
August 19th, that's when campaigning starts. That can look different for anybody. You can do it on your social media. You can post flyers around the hall, sidewalk talking, whatever that looks like for you, you can start on the 19th. And then on August 30th, so you'll have about a week and a half to 2 weeks to kind of like do your campaigning around the hall. And on August 30th is when we'll go into live Instagram speeches on all social medias for the halls at 8 p.m. So that way, anybody in the hall, if they think that you're suitable to be a rep, they can do that, and they can vote for you.
Yeah. So we're excited about this year because in the past, we haven't done everything online for voting, but this year we're moving everything to HogSync online. So that means everybody in the hall, if they want, has a chance to vote for their representatives instead of having to come to the meeting in person and vote. Anyone who's in person or not in person will have the chance to vote, which is super exciting. And so something Jasmine mentioned was in the form that you'll fill out is you will fill that out to say you're running, but then it'll also give you a spot to talk about your platform, why you're campaigning, why you want to be a rep. So you should be thinking about that now because whatever you put in that form will be next to your name on our ballot, which is super fun. And then polls are going to open for voting at 9 p.m. after the live speeches occur on Sunday, and then they are going to close the next day on Monday at 5 p.m. about an hour before lead hogs. And then the winners will be announced in each hall at 6 p.m. that Monday on August 31st in your lead hogs meetings. So we're super excited about that process this year. And something else we're adding is RIC is wanting to do like a welcome event. So later that night, right after typical time you'd go to an RIC meeting, we're going to hop on virtually at 7:30 and meet all of you all and get to know you and just like answer any questions you have. So that'll be fun. And then we're also adding a rep retreat this year. So on September 5th, if you're a rep, you'll get to go to Mount Sequoia with us, which is a really fun place. We're going to relax, have fun, and we're going to learn a lot, how to be a rep, everything you need to know. So if this video seems overwhelming and there's a lot of information, don't stress about it now because you're going to have a whole half day with us to figure out what you're doing, and we're going to have fun doing it.
Yes.
So
dates will be repeated, responsibilities will be repeated. This will not be the first time you get this information.
Yes. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to leadhogs@uark.edu. You can email my email at barney.uark.edu, like the purple dinosaur. But yeah, feel free to ask us any questions you have. You can also reach out to your CRE of your building and ask them questions. We will send out more information. But we just wanted to make sure you had kind of an idea of what it's like, what being a rep is, what is RIC, and how to get involved, because it's a really wonderful organization if you want your voice heard and to represent other people's voices across campus. So we really hope you join us. We're so excited to meet you. Get to campus soon. We can't wait.